Damn.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Aero Sentinel's channel. Today we are going to go over the AEA HP series of the Chinese manufacturer rifles, the AEA air rifles. These two are brothers, same series, HP series. This will be a initial impressions of the rifle itself, and you know, a lot of you folks been asking about this rifle, you know, questions, pricing, because I'm sure some of you folks already seen some YouTube videos with the different configuration. They changed them with barrels, so that was the reason why I got two, fairly because it was cheap in price. I got two of these for the still less than half. It was still less than half of the Brokaw Commander, which is one of our top most expensive rifles, racking in at $2,200, and that's not even including shipping or anything, just the rifle itself on the Brokaw Commander HP Magnum. We got two of these for the still less than the price of that Brokaw Commander, including shipping. So pretty good. The price is very, very good, I could say, for what it seems like it's potentially could do. But you know, upon opening the box, the buttstock, this piece, the hinge will be in place, but the buttstock tube, main tube, and the buttstock itself will be separate. For this one, it was pretty much assembled because it could fit by itself in a box. This one, which has the bigger bottle and the longer shroud and barrel, the barrel itself you'll have to assemble yourself. The thing with that is there's no instructions, but thankfully it's pretty straightforward. You just have to make sure that you pay attention to this lock-in screw or lock pin. Okay, when you installing that must be removed first before you can install the barrel, and also be removed first before you can remove the barrel, aside from the three locking grub screws. Alright, so with that said, good price from what it seems it can do, but it leaves much to be desired. You know, closer inspections, this thing was, it looks like it might have been a rush from a Friday, you know, last minute Friday build, and it probably was rushed. Several things happened with this rifle where there's scratches everywhere. I mean, there was a nice gash right here, there was a ding right there, scratches on the pins. Looks like it's, you know, they rushed building it. It was missing a baffle in it, and I could tell the shroud is internally baffled. It's a little bit tough to come out, but they have these baffles. There's 5 here. There's supposed to be 6. Okay, there's supposed to be 6 of them, and this one was missing 1, and I could tell right away. You know, I know that this gun is pretty much built very cheaply. You could tell. I mean, it has potential, but like I said, it has much to be desired. You won't be able to put a aftermarket moderator, silencer, LDC, whatever you folks wish to call it, unless you find a correct fitment for some sort of adapter. The shroud is threaded, so you potentially could find somebody that makes an adapter, so that way you can even add add some sort of external or aftermarket moderator, silencer, LDC of type. Okay, the build quality. I mean, this thing is folding stock. The bottle is alloy. It's not carbon fiber, so it's very, very heavy. You know, forward heavy. But otherwise, if you could fit a carbon fiber in there, which you could very easily, you could put a carbon fiber bottle in there, it would be very light. I mean, the gun itself it's the bottle that takes the brunt of the weight. I mean, this thing is heavy. All right. But if you're that kind of person that wants a toy, and I call this a toy, it's not a rifle. To me, the build quality is just lacking. There are, like I said, they could have built it better. The design of it, the concept is great when it comes to, you know, you could do this, do that. The magazine was whacked out. I mean, meaning the magazine itself, for this guy, the magazine is interchangeable between the HP series, but the problem with one of them was that you couldn't even get the magazine in there, and then after closer inspection you find out that the magnet was a little bit proud, so it wasn't flush. The magnet was a little bit proud, so you couldn't slide it in. And then the other thing is I spoke with the dealer is great, New England air guns. You know, I contacted him, wanted it, he shipped it quick. Great guy, John. He's awesome to deal with. And yeah, he got me sorted, shipped it to me, and here they are. Problem is, it's not to his fault that the rifles are bad, okay? Obviously, you know, there could have been some initial inspections, but I think that was probably missed, maybe because it was a busy day or whatnot. You know, I could give all sorts of reasons, but you know, these things happen. But with this one, it's going back home. There's a lot of issues with it. For one, the magazine was bad, and I had to really work at it to remove this magnet. And I noticed also that there was a misalignment, and I couldn't put pellets in because there was some plastic nib, like from factory, I guess with the mold maybe when they're making them. but there was some nibs I had to like smooth out a little with a little razor, because you couldn't push a pellet in there. Okay, so a lot of issues with the magazine, and then eventually when I tried it, after I finally got it going, I couldn't do a heat gun. I did blow dryer like the apparently I contacted, this is not new to me, so I contacted the dealer, make sure that it's okay for me to work on. I don't want to void any sort of warranty. If there is warranty, we don't know, right? You can't contact the manufacturer. There has no phone numbers. I left messages on their Facebook. I got an email, which apparently no one responded. The dealer is having issues with the manufacturer as well, and now he's taken them off their the website. Not his fault. Again, it's a problem with these guns. They have a lot of issues apparently, and he's just not gonna deal with it anymore. He indicated, John indicated that there are quite a few complaints, and I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, things like this is very, very simple to sort of kind of look through before even sending it off to dealers, but from factory they failed utterly. Like I said, this could be just a problem with this gun, I don't know, but overall the build quality is not bad. The design could be better improved. There is no adjustment whatsoever. Like, you cannot adjust this rifle. You'd have to make modifications, so you can't even adjust hammer spring tension. You couldn't do any sort of simple adjustment to tune the rifle. So what you get, that's what you get, unless you find some way to tune it. I could, you know, and some of you folks that are experienced into this sort of stuff, you could, you know, but a missing grub screw here. So a lot of things, like this is a weak point right here where it's just pins holding the buttstock, and it's wobbly, and this pin right here fell out. So I mean, it fell out, literally fell out. Like I wasn't even messing with the gun. I was just moving it about, inspecting it, and then I hear a clink on the floor, and I was like, what in the world? And I had to look at this rifle to see what in the world was missing, apparently because it's black. So it was hard for me to determine where it was, but this pin right here, this pivot pin, that was gone. Like, it fell out, literally. So, you know, with time, if you're not careful with this gun, like if you leave it on your truck, or if you accidentally, you know, lean on it or sit on it or whatever, this weak point right here, there's not much meat. Okay, there's not much meat there. Okay, I don't know if I could show, maybe I'll show a close-up picture of it later. But definitely a weak point there. So if this breaks or cracks, because it's aluminum, if it cracks, that is it. It's done. There's no way for you to even reattach it. There's not enough, I guess, way to modify it. You need a whole new chassis or a main box. Okay. So, and then, you know, with the missing baffle, I did. Also the magnet that attaches, the magnet is that's supposed to meet this little thing. The magnet on the magazine doesn't. It's like it's pushed way too far in, and it's at angle, so it's useless. I mean, it's very tight to fit in a magazine. So you really have to work on this one. You definitely have to really push when you cock it. You really have to pull some, because you're not just fighting the force of the hammer spring, but you're also fighting the force of the automatic loading or semi-auto feature function. I don't know what the hell you call it, but the spring here. So you can see that you have to also fight this spring along with the hammer spring. So you gotta like really work at it to pull it. I mean, I might not have eaten my Wheaties today, folks, but oh my goodness, like you literally have to chest it, or you know, hit this guy, and then you have to cock it. And then to make things worse, once you cock it, you have to really hold it in its place to now try and push the because of the probe would be on the way, so you have to get it completely out of the way, and then you can push this guy in. But that's just what you're dealing with this gun. You'd have to really contend with the or compete with the spring tensions with both the hammer spring and the automatic locking. And you know, so and the adjustability, this guy apparently is going home because you know, I didn't want to fire because of the missing baffle. I didn't want to fire. I told the dealer that I didn't want to you know, mess with the rifle, pushing a pellet through it without it leaks, by the way. It's like gone. There's no air in there. Initially when it came out of the box there was air, but when I tested it to let him know that there's a missing baffle, and I could tell because you know, I looked at it because this one had 6, and I was wondering what this one had, and there was 5, and I noticed that, you know, you could tell that there was like this movement in here. So I told him that it was missing, and then I fired the rifle without a pellet, and it sort of, I heard a noise, so it shifted forward, so I could tell that it was missing. I told him that it was missing. So not his fault again, it was quality check from factory. John is good to work with, but upon firing the rifle, I did not notice it at first, and then I left it on the side, obviously, overnight, and it leaked. The rifle was then empty in the morning, so I looked at it again and I thought, that's interesting, right? I fill it to 2000 psi, and I really don't hear anything. Like, I think I hear something, but I really don't hear anything until I go like this, and then I hear like a significant sound coming through the breech. So I know that it's leaking within the transfer port area of some sort. I don't know. I'm not going to mess with it. I'm not going to put effort into it. If it was a better built, better design, I may have just said, you know, forget the warranty, I'm going to work on this gun myself and keep it, you know, I don't care. But it leaves much to be desired. There are too many things going on, like the magazine, and after one round, not even one round, after half a round or 3, the magazine, so you can see here there's a little ball bearing, and it's a detent type of thing for this magazine, okay, but you can't put it back, so I'm leaving it there in the magnet. It's going back home along with its rifle, and the grub screw along with the spring and this is internally built into the grub screw. So it's one of those designs. So once it fails, it's done. Like, that is it. So again, weak points, that's one thing I have to really mention. And because with the empty magazine, I fired a couple more shots after realizing that it's leaking. I fired 2 more shots, empty obviously, and I noticed that sometimes it loads it automatically because it's semi-automatic, and then it doesn't. Okay, so we'll cut the video short real quick, and we'll go over the Big Brother and make sure we cover them both, so that way you folks are well informed, because I know a lot of you have been asking about this rifle, messaging us, you know, what's going on with it, you know, pricing, this and that. So here is the other Big Brother. So I fired this guy. This guy was decent. I noticed the slightly different design in the box, where this one is metal, and it seems like it's just shoved in there. But yes, this is very, very loose, and I can see that if the pin is not solid in there, it's going to fall out. But again, I don't see any area where you can adjust the hammer spring tension, and I can tell you right away that I guarantee you can't adjust the hammer spring tension. The rifle, this one is let me see, I wrote it down here. So the semi is full length is 33.25 inch, so 33.25 inch full length, and then folded is 24.25. Now I wish this really worked out, that there was no issues, and it's a little bit build quality, but because there's too many things going on with it, with issues, I'm returning it, and I wish that it was better built. Oh, and because of the quality, this is not leaking. You know, after closer inspection, I mean, you folks could see that. I thought it was just a plastic at first, and I completely overlooked it. Straightforward, you can't see it, okay? But when you look at it, it's like, hey, wait a minute, what is that? And the plastic, it looks like the plastic is I don't know what happened there. But the plastic, I don't know if it's melted or it's just, I have no idea. But I did mention it to John, and he's willing to, you know, go ahead and take it back. We'll update you folks how that goes. You know, I was getting a little bit worried initially. I understand he's a busy man, so I gave him a little bit of benefit of the doubt, because, you know, I messaged him, I called, there was no call. It's like, hey, the gun have issues, you know. I leave messages, I haven't gotten a call back, but eventually after I got a call back, after I called, you know, this past Sunday, he answered, and I mentioned, hey, did you get my messages? Hey, did you get, you know, I left, and he says yes. So he said he's gonna take it back. He admits that there is a lot of issues and complaints, and he's just not, you know, built for this sort of commotion or dealings with a manufacturer that have little response or no response at all. I mean, you can't even find a company contact info. There's no warranty card, so you don't know that there is no warranty. There's no spare parts, nothing. Like, you have nothing on these rifles. You know, I've been leaving messages, like I said. So this, again, 24.25 inch when it's folded. The Big Brother is 43.5 full length, and then when folded is 33.75. So it's almost as long as the full length of the semi-auto carbine little brother. Okay, so this guy is definitely very portable, you know, but I wish it was, I mean, if Corral Hot Sun can do it with an even simple adjustment of hammer spring tension. Why couldn't they? I mean, the build quality in the Hot Suns and the Corrals, they do real well. I mean, for a good value. This one obviously is a $500 value, but I would say it would fall more under a $200 value. Yes, the concept is good when it comes to the semi-auto if it functions, but apparently when the magazine, so that's the other thing with the magazine, right? What makes it difficult. So and this is why I say it's going to get you in trouble eventually over time due to the weak points here, where this will eventually probably crack because you'll have to literally hold it like this, and then on top of that find a way to balance it somehow, and then load. This one is a little bit easier because you don't have to contend with the there's no spring. Obviously you can make it semi-auto if you put in a, you know, that feature or components in there. That's the design anyway, that's the idea anyway. And then you push this in, okay? But you can see here, this is the problem. You really have to force with the magazine. The magazine is not lined up properly. It's probably too small. I don't know what's going on, but you really have to force it in there. So that's what makes this that's what makes this function from making it a semi-auto, because you know when there's air, you fire the rifle, this kicks back that majority of the air right back, pushes this valve, so this connecting rod that connects your bolt action right here reloads or recock the gun automatically, which, because there's so much spring tension, one of it is awful, and then to also contend with the fitment of the pellet probe with the magazine alignment and all that, sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. And with the 3 empty shots that I fired, it don't work. Like it stops halfway, it doesn't load, and you have to push it in, right? Or cock it manually and then fire. And it's like, whoa, that's not a semi-auto. That's more like a problem auto. But anyway, that's that. There's not much else to say. This seems to be a little bit more solidly built because of the simple design with regards to not including the semi-auto, and the buttstock is different. It's more. It seems like it's more solid, and you can see that there's a spacer here. That's a plastic spacer. Initially it was loose and I was like, whoa, is it supposed to be like that? And I guess it's supposed to be like that. But that's just it. I mean, it doesn't go all the way back, but I guess that's because when you cock the bolt, it goes back that far. Okay, so I guess that was just a simple way to, but I don't know. And the thing with the design is you can only put it into safety when it's cocked. So I guess that's one way to find out if you're loaded or not. So that might be a plus, you know. But you can only put it in that has a bigger bottle. This one is 480, I believe. This one is 500. But you can definitely fit, it seems like it's the same thread, M18 point by 1.5 type of bottle. So but in order for you have to empty the rifle from what I can tell, because in order to get this bottle out, that grub screw right there is in the way. Like, I mean, the gauge is in the way. Okay, so you can't do that as easily as they make it seem. The trigger, that's another thing. The trigger is awful. It breaks crisp on the second stage, but it takes it's more of a real tough hunting type of trigger. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. But the problem with this is that you can't adjust it. What you get, that's it. There's no adjustment whatsoever. So, and I tested. It was like average 6 pounds. When you cock this rifle, it was average 6 pounds of pull, you know, and I was like, whoa. But again, that could be just this rifle. I don't know. It might just be luck of the, you know, the short straw that I picked out of the bunch and I got the bad one. I don't know, but I like I said, I doubt it, because according to the dealer, John, the owner of New England that I was dealing with, good fellow, decent customer service, he's just not gonna deal with this company. I think there's a whole bunch of people complaining, but obviously I can see why. People are probably finding out that, oh man, you can't even adjust. So I did fire 20 shots out of this, and I was getting on the 26.54 JSB Hades. I was only able to chronograph it. I haven't even taken it out. I don't even know how it shoots. But you know, I fired 20 rounds out of here, and that's how I found out that this magazine is faulty, and it was damaging the pellets. Okay, I mean, when I say damaging, it's mangling. It's almost as worse. The pellet comes out almost worse without being fired than it hitting my backstop here at the house. So it's horrible, and this magazine is bad. It's going home. The other magazine is fine. It's a little bit tough to get in there, obviously. The fitment isn't as good, and again, this one you have to, the probe is a little bit proud, so you have to kind of find a way to brace yourself to the gun and pull it back some, and then push it in. It takes a little bit of force to push it in, and then it takes a little bit of force to push it back and then lock it. I mean, it's like, look at that. It's hard. I'm pulling right now. This is probably a 5 to 8 pounds of pull. Okay, and then I pull it, and so you can tell that the magazine is probably not lined up properly, because you can see here how easily it goes in. So the magazine is not lining up properly. So there's, like I said, this rifle has, this series or this gun has a good amount of things that needs to be improved. And I wish it's significantly loud. I mean, it's loud. It's there's baffles in here, but it's loud. Okay, so those baffles are not really that. I mean, it's probably much louder without the baffles, but it's loud. So I wish there was a way that they came out with a, you know, an adapter of sort for an aftermarket. I mean, how much is it to machine a, you know, an adapter for a aftermarket moderator? That would have been that would have been much more tolerable, with like, not bad, you know, I can tolerate it. I can put an aftermarket, but being that it's so loud the way it is and all these issues with it, This one is not bad, but I wish there was a way to adjust, and I'll probably make some aftermarket adjustment here, so that way I can adjust the hammer spring tension. But that's it for this video. It's a little bit winded, but we got 2 rifles to cover. We got the manufacturer, customer service. There is no manuals. It comes with 1 magazine, 1 probe with O-rings, probe O-rings, not breech O-ring. It's probe O-rings, and a fill adapter. That's it. So a magazine, 4 O-ring fill adapter O-rings, and a fill port, and the rifle. So that's it. I mean, this is definitely going back home to the dealer. That's it. Stay tuned for more updates, and follow the progress. I'll let you folks know as well how John with New England. It's my first time dealing with him. So far, the experience have been great. So I'll mention that it's not his fault that these rifles are bad. I guess it could have been one of those things where, as a dealer, I would inspect the guns. A new company that brings me rifles to sell it or market it in behalf of the company, and I would inspect it to see if it's worth the effort, or the image for my company to represent these guns, to be represented in my company as a dealer. I'm not a dealer, obviously. I don't know the inner workings of it, but that's just the way I would deal with it. And with something like this that was exciting, I was really excited about it. I thought it was great. And once I found out the price is $525. Yeah, $525 for each rifle. $525. Shipping was about $150 to me here in Hawaii from East Coast. So with that said, that's still half the price of one of my most expensive rifles. But again, one of it is going home because there's too much issues going on with it that I'm not going to deal with it. If I paid $500 plus for a rifle, I expect it to be somewhat functioning. I can see if there's a minor issue here, minor issue there, I could fix it. But being that it's leaking, it's brand spanking new, it's leaking, magazine is faulty. It seems like from my initial test, the baffle is missing from my initial test. The semi-auto function may or may not engage, and it's wobbly. The pin was falling out. The gauge is not leaking. It's leaking via the breech area, somewhere in this area, because when I load it like this, I can hear the hissing, but when I close it, I don't hear much hissing. Like, I think I hear it, but I don't. But when I open it like this, when I filled it up, it's definitely leaking. By morning, it's empty as hell. And the gauge, like I said, is looks like, I don't know, it might be, for sure, that's got to be factory or whatnot, but I don't know if from the factory from these guys or from the factory from whoever they get the gauges from, or if they make their own gauges. I'm not sure. But whoever made this gauge, it was like a last Friday, last build. That's probably this whole rifle, because a whole bunch of issues with it. And you can see here, I'll take some pictures and post it up. And I can show you the weak points here, show you the gauge for this one, the issues. But, no fault to New England. Great service, great person to talk to, John, the owner. He's apparently from my last contact with him, he's apparently taken it out of his website, and until I guess they have better service and improve on the quality of their product. From that's what I gather. So I'm just relaying the message. This is not a promoted stuff. This is our own. This is honest reviews. I don't want to blemish John's company. I'm just indicating that this is not his fault. This is the manufacturer and the response. There's, you know, they're in the web page, but yet they tell you, hey, this is my email, but they don't respond. So what's the use? And the other thing is, it seems like they don't. Maybe it's a language barrier. They don't comprehend your questions when you do ask it. So they don't really respond, you know, in accordance to your questions. So that's the deal. This will be the, you know, I was willing to get the TAC 650 and the Terminator as well. But from my initial impression, I am not getting any more of their guns. No way. This is probably it, and I hope this one lasts, but we'll see. I'll keep this one. It seems like it will last, and I'll see if I can make some modifications to improve it. I'll see if I can find someone who can machine me. I'm not a machinist, but machine me an adapter so that I can put an aftermarket one, because it's loud. It's loud. Loud! But this one, like I said, the pins was falling out. I fixed the pin myself. I had to disassemble my experience from other rifles. I had to disassemble it, and I put the pin back. So now it's good. It's solid. It won't fall out ever again unless you loosen and break it down. But it's tight now. So that's that. Stay tuned. Like I said, more to come on this guy, but don't hang around for this one. This one is going back home. The semi-auto feature needs improvement, and this was probably the first semi-auto that I was going to get just because of the pricing, but I stay away from semi-auto because I know the complications with it. They're problematic. It's still new in the industry. They need to improve, and over time I will get it. But I can see the practicality of semi-auto. I cannot see the practicality of full auto. This one is not full auto. This is a semi-auto, so which is good. You could do follow-up shots, and I was willing to take a risk, which definitely is a risk because this one is problematic. But that's it for you. I hope I answered some questions and pricing, where I got it from. There's some different company out there. Zach is his name. He's on YouTube as well. I initially contacted him, but again, that's the kind of response you get, and I wasn't willing to deal with the gentleman. I don't want to blemish him either. I don't know the guy. Maybe he's just busy. I don't know. But I messaged him. He said he put me on the list. He hasn't responded, and it was like several follow-ups, no response. So I said, forget it. I'll get it from someone else. If you're not going to give me the opportunity to spend my money to your company, I'll spend it someplace else. Easy as that. I don't take it personal, but that's just my experience, and this is an honest review. That's why we do it for you folks. That way you're well informed. But this is it. If you're willing to tinker and take the risk, it's definitely a risk. That's what I'll say. Okay, but you want a project gun? I can tell you this is it. This is a project gun. Okay, but this one so far, that's why you don't see. They're sold out in majority of sites apparently because of their good value. Well, I wouldn't say that. I would say just cheap prices, and that's what you get. Cheap price. This is a good example of cheap price for cheap gun, and that's what you get, is a cheap gun. I gave them the opportunity as well. When I say them, AEA, to contact me. Let me know, hey, is there a manual? What's the warranty? No response. So releasing this video, and hopefully they'll listen. You know, you folks, AEA, if you folks are listening, the design here, no good. Add a hammer spring adjustment, add an aftermarket moderator, and you got a fairly decent concept for good price. Had I known all of this, that there wasn't a way to add an aftermarket, knowing that it's loud as heck, and the weak points here, and the no adjustment for hammer spring tension, it's unregulated, and I can tell you, shot to shot consistency, it's awful. And being that it's not regulated, it's expected, but it would have been acceptable if you had a hammer spring tension, AEA. I'm talking to you folks, AEA. I chronographed this bad boy, and it's, oh my god, it's bad, horrible. It's like, oh my god, what the hell, the worst rifle ever. I've had $300, $200 rifles that do better, but the shot counts, power, I do not see this guy doing 80 foot-pounds like it's advertised. It does do 60, but it does it only for a few shots, and then the graph is like this. Shot to shot, it went from 1,010, 1,020, 1,030 to 900, 800, 700, like this in the 20 shots that I took. It was like this. There's no way you get 80 shots in this 500cc bottle. So AEA, good concept, but leaves much for improvement, much improvement. Would have preferred screws over pins because of the inherent vibrations and it coming loose. Actually, this rifle looks like it was about to come loose at one point too, and I just pushed back the pin because of, you know, it wobbles quite a lot. I seen that in the Brocock. So that's that, AEA. Sorry, but that's my honest review, and I gave you folks the opportunity to get back to me, but your customer service fails utterly. And you folks don't even leave your company info, number, nothing. So that's just shady business. That tells you that you know your rifle's potential, and you know how you built them, so maybe that's the reason. Okay, so that's that, folks. To all our friends out there, hopefully I discussed, leave us a message, stay tuned for more on this. I'll update you folks on the response from the dealer, John, with New England Air Rifles, when I'll be returning this guy. I'm not taking off just to pack and ship this. I will do it this Saturday.
People on YouTube, you call me a homo, but you think I stand by this? Well, that shit is a no-go. You're all coming one, because what